listeners. Welcome to another episode of Romance Unraveled. I am one of your co hosts, Jacob Bozen.
And I'm your other co-host, Abigail.
So, as you probably all know, we had you guys submit questions to us and some, I guess, statements overall about the podcast. And so we are going to take those questions for this episode and give you some answers. So, Abby will start with our first question and then we'll just answer them as we go.
All right. So the first question we have is, what is the biggest red flag you've ever ignored in a relationship?
Ooh, that's a tough one, Abby. I'll let you take it first.
I guess the one that I've missed with two relationships is it's like that, or just one relationship. It's insecure. You know what I mean? How, like the guy I was with, he was super insecure about how smart he was in school and just how he looked and just literally everything about himself was insecure. And I thought he would kind of get over it. Like, I reassure him, all that kind of stuff. But then he needed reassurance 24/7. And I really couldn't provide that for him because it's like I can't make you be that. And it led to a lot of issues down the road later. And it was one of the major factors we broke up. But so I would say that. It's like looking at the potential in people rather than just who they are, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of us think that we can fix people. I would say for mine, was dating this Russian boy in around November time, or maybe it was October. Yep, October. And we were out shopping one day, and he said, "Should I use my debit card or my credit card?" And me, I'm like, "Of course you have to use the credit card because you'll get points," and I'm really big on that. And he's like, "But it's my mom's card."
But
So he was living off of her, like completely. And I just looked past it. I was like, "Oh, well, it's whatever."
wait, how old is he again?
He was 24.
24, out of school though, the whole thing. Just
Oh, for
completely living
oh,
off.
oh, for sure. Yeah. Didn't work, nothing, live at home. He was gonna start grad school this year, and yeah, he's like, "I don't have my own credit card, so let's use my mom's." Yeah, I that should have been it for me right there, but it wasn't. And that will be probably in a completely separate episode because that was a complete disaster. But yeah, let's get to the second question. Second question is, what is Abby's story? We don't really know much about her.
Pretty open-ended. I guess, I grew up in Webster Groves, Missouri. I went to engineering school and I thought I'd be this great aerospace engineer, but turns out I was not so great at the material, but I was actually good at like heat transfer and stuff. And so I changed to mechanical engineering. So I worked on these projects installing refrigeration systems, making soda cold before it gets in the bottle. And in doing so, it's taken me all over coast to coast. And I met a lot of interesting people and done a lot of interesting things. Like I've seen Niagara Falls, I've been to Shenandoah and Harper's Ferry, all the way to like Seattle, Washington, and hiked throughout there. And I learned how to ski, and then I do that by myself now at times when I can't get anybody to go with me. And it's interesting because everywhere you go, you meet new people. It's kind of me in a nutshell.
Yeah, it seems like you're always traveling.
Yeah, I live on the road. Last year, I was on the road 100%. I was out on Monday, back on Friday, and I either go visit friends on weekends or I keep all my stuff with my parents at the time because there's no point in having an apartment if you're just running around the world, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So the third question is, how do you know if someone is really into you or they're just playing games?
For me, I would say my love language is quality time. So for me, if they want to see me a lot and they make the effort to see me, I think that that shows that they're actually really interested. I think them showing you that they're just playing games. I think if they don't talk to you a lot, it takes a long time for them to get back to you, and they are the ones that make you initiate most things.
Yeah, I can see that.
What do you think?
Especially the making time for you because like it shows that you're just not a priority. Not that every single minute is going to be dedicated to you because people should have their own hobbies and schedules and everything, but
Sure.
it doesn't take much more than 2 seconds to be like, hey, you know, do you want to do something? What's going on? That and it's like how much are they like involving you in their lives too? Because out the gate, they're probably not going to be introducing you to all their friends, but if it's been a couple weeks, you should meet at least somebody in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I think, yeah. It's funny that you say that. It just made me think of this. My ex, who I thought I was going to marry, one of the reasons he broke up with me was because I didn't know his sister's name. And he never
What?
introduced me to his family. Like I dated him for like a year and I never once met his family. Granted, they lived in a different country, but like never FaceTimed them. I
I was gonna say a
never
Zoom
met them.
call. Yeah.
Nothing like that. Our fourth question. What's the best way to get over someone who ghosted you?
That one, I really thought about that one. And it really, how long have you been dating them since they ghosted you? Because if it's a couple weeks, you should not be that put down. If you're too infatuated with them that it's like crushing after you've met them for a couple weeks, you really need to reassess like relationships in general because your value needs to come from you and not from other people, if that makes sense. And if they ghost you, it shouldn't affect you that much. Now, if they've been dating you for a year or so and then they just drop out of the face of the earth, that would be pretty like emotionally devastating. But I don't know. That's kind of where I stand because at the end of the day, they're missing out.
Right? Have you ever been ghosted before?
I personally have no. No.
Okay,
Have you?
I think that's why you have the opinion that you do. I disagree.
Well, because
Um,
I've been on dates with people and it just kind of fizzled out and we just didn't talk. You know what I mean? But it's
yeah.
like, you know,
I think at the beginning stages, I think like if they just stop talking to you at the beginning stages, that's fine. I think after like you've met them and everything, I think that they at least owe you the respect to not ghost you.
I agree with that. There is a respect factor of they should just tell you, hey, you're not what I'm looking for. This is why. Not even this is why. Just you're not what I'm looking for. It's been nice meeting you. That's it. That do the compliment. It's painful, but don't be a dick and not do that?
Right, yeah. I think the best way to get over them or over being ghosted is like for me at least, I just keep myself as busy as possible.
Have
So
you ever have you ever ghosted anybody though?
I don't think so. I have stopped. So the well, I'll give you an example. So some like a few days ago actually, matched with this guy, talking a little bit, but he doesn't even live here. Like he lives way far away. And so I'm like, there's no point to talking to you anymore. So I unmatched him because that's not what I'm looking for. And it wasn't like
Yeah.
extensive talking or anything. It wasn't like we had met or called or FaceTime or whatever. But when he said that he was not living here, like he was living like actually in Europe, I was like, no, thank you.
See, I feel like that's valid. You haven't met, you haven't done anything. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our fifth question is it ever okay to date your friend's ex?
That just really depends on how much, like, what is the full story here? Like, were you in high school and you had one of those, like, flirty kind of talks, but nothing actually happened? There's no physical that actually happened. And now you're like 28 or 30, or, you're an adult now. Maybe. I could maybe see it. But, like, if things were ever serious with your friend, no. Because, like, that's just uncomfortable on, like, all ends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I agree 100%. I think it just depends on the context. So if it was someone that you dated in high school and now you're out of college, that might be different. But I think in general, I don't think it's okay to date your friend's ex just because I don't know. I feel like that's really rude to your friend, and
Yeah.
you're probably not a good friend if you're doing that to your friend.
No, not at all. I got a side question for you. So you have a sister, right?
You have two sisters.
So say your best friend started dating one of your sisters. How would you feel about that?
I would be okay with it. Doesn't really have anything to do with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I only have like two straight guy friends though. Um, No, I've got more, but like I guess close friends. So that would never happen, but yeah. No, I think I would be okay with it. Would you?
I think it just depends on the person. You know what I mean? Because I've had certain friends that I'd be like, yeah, that's okay. And other friends I would be kind of annoyed with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. I've had some friends that kind of treat boys really poorly. And it's like, nah, I wouldn't want you dating my brothers. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Our next question is, will you ever have the first Abby as a co-host with you in the future? I feel like she would be good.
So I think this is for my best friend Abby, who was on our second episode, the giantess episode.
Oh yeah.
If you haven't listened to it, you have to. The audio is really bad. Not her audio, but mine. It was like a disaster, but it's a super funny story. She does most of the talking. Yes, I think she would be great co-host to be with me on that. Her Instagram is Abigail Collings, so whoever wrote this, if if you really want her to be the co-host, message her and tell her to do it because I'll have a lot of convincing to do, I think. Our seventh question is, what's the biggest mistake people make in modern dating?
I think one of the biggest pe mistakes people make in modern dating is they just jump in way too fast. Like everybody's in love right now, and they just got to move in with each other right now. And then, you get a dog together, you get whatever together, and then like 2 months down the road, it's like, you break up. Where are they gonna go? You got to kick them out of your apartment. Did you get an apartment together? Now you have to break that lease. Who's gonna get the dog at the end of it? You know? I don't
Right.
know. I'm kind of a traditionalist of kind of keep things separate until it's actually serious. You know what I mean? Like engaged kind of serious. Because otherwise, you're just so entangled and trying to break that up and move on just makes it excruciatingly worse from what I've seen among my friends, you know?
Yeah, I think getting involved too quickly is something that should be avoided for sure. For me, it's funny how we were approaching these questions because we're doing it differently, but we're both correct. Um, so I think the biggest mistake that people make is so dating is like you're in a grocery store and you have the shopping cart. And you always think that you can get something that is better.
Yeah.
And so you really disregard things that are coming for you that might actually be good for you. And if you find like one flaw in somebody that isn't even significant, even slightly, you kick them to the curb because, oh, I can get something better. So I have a million things in my shopping cart. In this case, it's people. And if I don't like whatever about this one, I'm just going to put it back on the shelf. I think that's biggest mistake for
I
sure.
think that is a big one. But there's also the reverse to that of you have this person in your shopping cart that you're choosing to be the best person, but maybe they're not the best person. It's because you feel pressure from everybody else. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've, we've, you always hope it's not the case, but like people that settle down just because, everybody else is settling down and they're thinking they're lonely and they're never going to find their partner. So then, they get married because this is a person that loves me right now, but is that the person that you are truly in love with? Because you got to spend the rest of your life with them, or until you get divorced. So you got to make sure that if you are choosing that person, you're choosing them for the right reasons rather than just because it's convenient or right now, or that's what your family wants, or your friends are all, you know what I mean? You feel that social pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I guess that leads into the next question of do you think soulmates exist or do you think it's just about timing and effort?
So I'll let you tackle this one first because I have a huge metaphysical thing about this. So you talk about it first and then I will.
Yeah, have you heard of the Japanese like red string theory?
I don't think so. What is it?
It's the whole theory of everybody does have a soulmate and you're just looking for it and you're gonna find that person when it's in the right timing and the right everything. Like there's a whole wrong place, right person, wrong time. If they're your soulmate, they wouldn't have shown up at that moment in your life. You know what I mean? But I feel like everybody that you meet along the way kind of builds you into the person to meet the right. When you meet the right person, you're like ready for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I do think that like there is soulmates and people can find each other, but I also think that it's back to the whole if you're and I think you know when you meet them. You know what I mean? Like when you know, you know. Like I have a lot of friends that they meet their person and they just light up and they talk about them versus previous relationships. They liked them, but they weren't in love with them, you know? And you hear those stories of watched her walk into the bar and I was like, that's the girl I want to marry. And then 3 years later, they remember what she first looked like when she first walked in the bar and they first, met.
yeah.
I think that is a thing.
Yeah, I think the generalized answer to that question for me is yes, but I think that you make your soulmate. Like it's not someone who is just coming out of the woodworks that's your soulmate. Like you have to create your soulmate with that person and they create you as their soulmate as well. That being said, I feel like time is an interesting thing. It's not like a linear thing. So, with my answer being yes, soulmates exist, I do think that that person that you end up being with, yes, they are your soulmate, but like in our reality, you have to create them as the soulmate first, if that makes sense. What's your biggest ick when it comes to online dating profiles?
I have a couple of these on both sides of the spectrum of like when I was only on the dating profiles or the dating apps for a little bit, but it was the whole everybody wants to make themselves seem super adventurous. Like, you're kind of selling yourself and they oversell themselves a little bit, like they're the ones that um say they're super into hiking, but then you actually go on a hike and you realize that they don't actually enjoy this. They just have done it before and they got good pictures, so that's what their whole personality is. Or they want to see all the national parks, but they do one little hike and they like check it off versus actually like wanting to go see, you know what I mean? Or just, I don't know, that kind of stuff.
So if you saw someone who had like hiking pictures on their dating profile, you would be more inclined to like swipe left on them.
Yeah, because it's like those are the hobbies. Because I'm trying to align my hobbies with theirs. You're not ever going to be perfect on like everything that you're aligned with, but all you want to have common interests. And I really like being outside and outdoors, but I also like, going to do like movie dates and theaters and stuff. But so I'd be more inclined if they did like hiking into the outdoors. But when you say you do, you actually have to like it, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. For me, mine's kind of weird. One of the first things I look at in a profile is how tall they are.
Oh
If
my
they
God, you're one of those.
if they are 6'1" and above, it's a no for me.
Oh, really?
I cannot stand it when guys are taller than me. Like they can be like I'm 5'10", so they can be like 6'1", but I like them tall shorter or my height, and if they're taller than me, I can't do it.
Is it because when you call them a good boy, it doesn't have the same effect or what?
No, it can have the same effect, but it's just weird because like I'm the more dominant one, and so when they're taller than me. It's just weird. Like I just don't like it at all. Like it makes the entire dynamic of the relationship very strange. The last time I went on a date with someone who was taller than me, and I actually gave him a good chance. He was really tall. He was probably 6'6".
Mhm.
Like it was bad, and I just looked past it. But at the end of the day, I was like, I just can't do it. It's weird. Like I don't like it.
I know another one that I've fielded from my friends, from there that are guys for like looking for girls, and they were always saying they hate it when girls are like, "Oh my God, I'm not like all the other girls." You know what I mean? Like they're the very pick me girls. Because then you actually take them out, and they are actually very much a girl's girl, if that makes sense. They're into the drama. They don't actually like going outside. They don't actually get along with their friends. Because let's be honest, like the what do you call them, hetero guys
You're the
have a certain
heteros.
kind of humor that is not PC, and they do not like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny.
Is it ever okay to have a roster while casually dating?
I think it is. I mean, I have a roster right now. So, I mean, I always have a roster. I'm always having a roster. I'm like a revolving door essentially at this point. But yeah, I think until you become serious with somebody, I think it's okay to have a roster just because you're trying to figure out of all the people that you're dating, who you actually want to pursue the most, you know?
Yeah, do you ever feel like the roster, because you're talking to like, four, five, six people, that you're not actually giving the right people enough attention and then they get kind of put to the wayside because of that?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, it's kind of funny, and I don't know if I should be saying this, but I'm going to. Before like I go on dates, I honestly cannot even remember anything about this person, and
Oh my God.
so I hurry and go through my conversations right before I go into the date. So just so I like remember so I don't look like an idiot if like we talk about something and they're like, "Oh, I already told you." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever
Um,
mixed up information about people before and be like, oh wait, sorry, that was the other person I was talking to?
oh, for sure, but I don't say that. Like I just say, "Oh, huh. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else."
Obvious, but not obvious.
Yeah, but I think I do pretty good at it because I do. Yeah, I go on a lot of dates, Abby, like you know, like I do. And so
Yeah.
it's hard. Like it's hard to keep track of who's who and like what you already talked about because these conversations can go on forever, you know.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I think I don't know. See, I didn't really like the whole casual dating. I tried it, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's okay to have a roster as long as, you define that for them. Like if you don't explicitly say, hey, we're like exclusives, then it's fine. You know what I mean?
Oh, for
Um,
sure. Like it once it gets serious, I think the roster can go to hell.
yeah, exactly. But but it's weird because if you don't actually verbalize it, everybody has different like boundaries of like when that changes. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think our roster, I don't know. See, I give people a certain amount of weeks, and if it's just not there, I just boot them because it's like I'm not here to waste anybody's time or my time. So I think our roster's okay.
Yeah, for sure. The next question is, what's the most bizarre excuse someone has used to end things with you? Abby, I'll let you take it.
Not to be that person, but I've basically been the one that ends things on my end for the most part, or it's been very mutual of you're going one way in life, I'm going the other way in life, this is not going to work out kind of thing. So I really haven't had any of those conversations. I will
Have
say
you ever done an excuse before to somebody?
I did do it once, which was kind of not, it was not like a super excuse, but I was casually dating this one guy, and he was kind of more on the emotional side. And I didn't know how to like break up with him without him just flipping shit, you know? And I was like 100% like looking to just move to South Carolina on a dime. And my company was gonna line me up to like move over there. So I basically told him like, hey, I'm moving, so I really don't want to do this anymore. But I did not do well, and I still feel bad about that one.
Hmm.
Not
What
anything crazy, but
what was his reaction?
not not great. No,
Did he start to cry?
I don't know. I was very upset, but I don't know if he cried.
Okay. I think for me, the most bizarre excuse that someone has used is it was actually probably when I was a senior in high school. The guy that I was seeing at the time, who didn't go to my high school, he told me that he couldn't do anything with us or with me anymore because he had to clean his counters.
Oh
Like,
my God.
like he had to
You
wipe
know,
off his
like
counters, and
his
so
counters.
yeah, and so
Classy man.
he couldn't come to the plans that we had set with like my friends and him and me because he had to clean his counters. And so I practically told him to go to hell after that. I was like, screw right off.
Yeah.
It was funny though because this will probably another episode, separate from this, but I ended up meeting him again probably 2 years later, and I completely flipped it on him. It was so
Yeah.
funny. I won't give any details away, but yeah, I definitely got him back pretty good.
So what was your excuse when you ghosted him?
I said I had to go clean my counters.
Oh, good.
Yeah. The last question is, how is the podcast going? It's going well. We have a little over 1,000 streams right now, across all platforms, so that's pretty good considering it's in the beginning stages. It's always hard, of course, to get people to come on as guests because everybody is scared. So we have to be a little bit creative about how we approach it. Give like ourselves some ideas on what we can do for episodes. Everyone that we've had come on is pretty good though. But yeah, we definitely are looking to keep doing the podcast, having the episodes come out every week still. I really like, I can't wait to the point where we start making money off of it. At least I do. You know. Okay, listeners. Well, thanks for listening. As always, make sure to subscribe and save. And you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Romance Unraveled. Until next time.